What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Think Wrestling. My name is Tom, and this past Monday night on Raw, Roman Reigns made his return after 5 months off to battle leukemia to an absolutely massive ovation, and he revealed that once again he had been able to put his leukemia into remission. Now, this got a lot of this was met with a lot of positivity online, as it absolutely should have been. This is about more than just a wrestler, but love my hating this about a person and his livelihood. But there are some people, a lot of people unfortunately, claiming that this is all a work on WWE's part and that they made all this up to get Roman Reigns over with the crowd. Now, I'm going to come out and say it, just so it's out there, I'm not a fan of Roman. Well, so I'm not his biggest fan, definitely. I've got nothing against him. I'm just indifferent, basically. I'm not a massive fan of him. I don't hate him at all. I'm completely indifferent with Roman Reigns. But there are some people, like I said, who think that this is all just a big way for WWE and for Vince to get Roman Reigns over. Now, first and foremost, I know that WWE have a tendency to not think through some of their storylines. Point case, the way they used Eddie Guerrero's tragic death in a storyline. But this sort of thing, WWE are extremely. This isn't the sort of thing they would make into a story. This isn't the sort of thing they would do just to get a person over. If one of their superstars has got a deadly form of cancer like leukemia, they're going to give them all the time and space they need to fight that. So there's no way this can be a work. But I'm not asking you to take my word. I'm not an expert on this, but I'll tell you who is an expert. There is a Twitter page called Leukaemia Care, or Cure. I think it's called Leukaemia Care, but I'll just double check in a minute. And what they are experts on leukemia, as in their name, Leukaemia Care, but basically, I want to share with you some tweets they made, pointing out why this isn't a work and why Roman Reigns battling leukemia was as legit as it gets, and why we should be supportive of him. So I'm going to get their tweets up right now, and I'm going to show you. See, this is their Twitter, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to read for you. Some tweets they've made. Explaining why Roman Reigns beating leukemia isn't just a way for Vince and WWE to get him over with the crowd. It was Vince and WWE giving him all the space they needed to help a person, not just a WWE superstar, but a human being with a family, battle an extremely deadly form of cancer. So I'm going to read for you some of their tweets now. Hopefully it'll make you realise that it's probably best not to believe all the Dr. Googles out there and people who make stuff. Because that's the thing, is that people will poke holes where there's no holes to be poked, and people have done that. They've always done that, and they will always continue to do that. But the issue here is that people seem to be believing them because there's a stereotype for beating cancer, and Roman Reigns didn't. Because Roman Reigns didn't look like that stereotype, people instantly thought, oh, he's not got cancer. That's just big work. And the stereotype is that when you're battling cancer or leukemia or anything like that, then you lose your hair, you lose weight, etc. All this really nasty stuff. And while in some cases that is true, it's not always true. And I'm going to read for you some tweets now just to prove to you that Roman Reigns battling leukemia and putting it into remission again isn't a work. It's Roman Reigns battling back for his life, and we should all be really supportive for him. So I'm just going to read for you some tweets now. So, first tweet. Morning. In a response to some of the tweets we're seeing online about Roman Reigns and WWE, we wanted to have a little chat about leukemia, relapse, and perceptions of cancer. This is directed toward Dave Meltzer, because I think Dave Meltzer was the main person who said this can't be true because Roman Reigns doesn't look like a person who's battled cancer. But yeah, we're about to see why it's probably best not to take the word of a wrestling journalist, but to take the word of people who are experts in leukemia. So incredible news about Roman Reigns. Relapse is a scary reality for all leukemia patients. Either fear of your cancer returning or having to face treatment for relapse. It's great to hear some positive news from a leukemia patient. The tweets we are seeing mainly centre around the idea of what cancer patients should look like, and that's what I just said, you know, about the weight loss and the hair loss, etc. How can he have hair? How can he have not lost weight? Why doesn't he look like a cancer patient? So these are them just clearing up some of the confusion as to why some people are doubting if he actually had leukemia. So we're going to weigh in here with some leukemia information. We feel like yada yada yada, that's just nothing really. So back to basics. So leukemia is a cancer. It affects people of all ages. There are 4 types of cancer: ALL, AML, CLL, and CML. However, there are other types and subtypes. Leukemia is complicated, and that's the key word here, complicated, okay? We're not experts. We can't pretend to know everything just because of how we see it perceived online. You know, leukemia, and that's the same with all kinds of different diseases. It affects people differently. We can't base how it should be off one person. So, right, the different types are key. Acute leukemias are aggressive and need aggressive treatment to save a patient. Chronic leukemias are incurable but treatable. Now, and this is the key here. This is another big point. Don't forget, we do not know what type of leukemia he has. Therefore, none of us are in a position to question his treatment and how he looks, etc. That's the thing. We're all going off these stereotypes we see on YouTube and on Google, on Facebook, etc. And these are all different types, but none of us know how aggressive and what type of leukemia Roman Reigns was dealing with. He could have been dealing with a really aggressive type. He could have been dealing with a type of leukemia that was really easy to deal with. Except we have no idea. All we can do is go off what WWE say, and they've not said a whole lot, as is right, because this is a very private matter. So yeah, you can't judge Roman Reigns off of how someone else looks, because like I said, it treats everyone differently, and there's different levels of aggression in leukemia. So first question, how can he have hair? Treatment for leukemia may cause hair loss, it may cause it may cause no hair loss at all. Again, no way of telling, it completely varies depending on each person and the treatment they get. Leukemia can also make you lose weight, leukemia can also make you gain weight. There is no one way that leukemia should look, okay? The common stereotype is for someone to be really thin, you know, bald, etc., look really sickly. Not always the case, as we can see. What we've got to remember is Roman Reigns is an elite level athlete. He trains religiously. He's got a strict diet that he follows every single day. He's an elite level athlete, so that's going to help a lot in the treatment. A key example of this at WWE is a huge WWE fan and a patient advocate at Chris the Script, who has lived with chronic leukemia for the past decade. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, chronic leukemia was one that can't be cured, it has to be treated, but I'm not quite sure. Does he look like a leukemia patient to you? And then they go and show a, tell you what, they've already shared a photo of him, so I'm going to tell you now. Down there, in the corner there, does that look like your stereotypical leukemia or cancer patients? The answer is no. It looks like a completely normal bloke. You see in the street, you wouldn't, you think he's in perfectly good health. You wouldn't instantly think, oh, he's got leukemia. You think he's just a normal bloke. There's no one way that it should look. So then go on and say that our website is full of stories of leukemia patients. If you have 10 minutes, it might be worth a read. So I'll put that in the link down below. Just so if you want to get some more information, then you can. So a final few thoughts on the can't read that word. That's really I'm really bad at English, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Anyway. On the psychological side, I'm not quite sure why I couldn't read that. On the psychological, I'm not quite sure why I couldn't read that. My brain's had a bit of a brain fart there. So a final few thoughts on the psychological impacts of leukemia. Living with or beyond a leukemia diagnosis is scary. The fear of relapse is always there. Think before you tweet. And that's the thing, none of us know what Roman Reigns was going through. We can't make assumptions. None of us are experts. we don't know what he's dealing with again, so we can't be bombarding him with we can't just be making assumptions because of what we saw somewhere else. Different people suffer and get treated in different ways. There's no one way to do it. There's no this is by the book. This is how all leukemia and cancer patients look. So then I'm going to say we're more than happy to answer any questions you have about leukemia or point you in the right direction of other information. Don't be sure that there's no such thing as a silly question. So if you want to know more about leukemia, I'll link you to there'll be like a tag thing title card on the screen now where you can go to visit Leukaemia Care's official Twitter page. Remember, and this is the key, everything in life isn't to work. Right? Now I know WWE is it's difficult to know with WWE what is and what isn't to work. As I said before, the way you use the Eddie Guerrero passing in a storyline, and I think for a lot of people, because they've also used a lot of other real life issues like that in their storyline, it makes it blurs the line a bit between kayfabe and reality. But what you've also got to remember is that WWE they are very cautious about their superstars' health. You'll probably be aware that I can't remember now. This is before my time, so I may have got the date wrong here. But I think it was in the 80s or 90s. There was a massive court thing where Vince was being accused of Vince and WWE being accused of dealing out steroids to their superstars to give them the bigger look that we all know Vince likes. And because of that, I think that because of that, Vince and WWE have got a whole lot more cautious now about what they're doing. And let's not forget, WWE doesn't like blading, not only because it's a kid, because there's kids watching that sort of thing, but bleeding is a really unhygienic thing to do, and like this, leukemia is a thing. I think it is anyway. I may have got this wrong, but I believe leukemia is a blood and bone marrow type cancer. I'm not quite sure, but I think it is. And if Roman Reigns was, if Roman Reigns was to have bleeded in a match, that's dangerous, because it's then exposing that sort of, again, as you can probably tell, I'm not quite sure what I'm talking about at this point, because I'm not quite I'm not an expert on this. I'm not an expert about how leukemia is caught or anything like that, so probably making a lot of mistakes there. But WWE, the point is that WWE is always on top of health and hygiene in their superstars. And so this sort of thing isn't going to be something that they make a work just to get Roman Reigns over. That's not how they do things, okay? But leukemia is it's a very complicated form of cancer, and we can't pretend to know everything. We can't pretend to know more about it because we saw a photo of a cancer patient. Because as I said, everyone suffers differently. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there just to make you aware of just how daft all these accusations of WWE making the whole leukemia thing up just to get Roman Reigns over in time for WrestleMania. Now I don't know if he's been cleared to compete yet, or whether the remission just means that he momentarily beat it. I don't quite know the details of that. But we can't assume, if Roman Reigns is cleared for the WrestleMania, we can't just assume that all this was a work to get him over. That's, as I said, from all those tweets that I read out from the Leukaemia Care Twitter account, that's not how, you can't just make that assumption based off this one case. We don't know enough about it. We don't know the specifics of how Reigns was being treated and all that sort of thing. So we can't make accusations like that. But yeah, I just wanted to get it out there, and hopefully clear up some of this some of the doubt that people were having about whether or not this was all real, etc. I'll link you in the description down below. I'll link you to the Leukaemia Care Twitter account where you can obviously ask them any questions you might have about leukemia, etc. As they said, sorry, there's no such thing as a daft question. You know, I don't know anything about leukemia. I'm not pretending to be an expert at all. That's why I was reading off of what they were saying on their Twitter. But yeah, hopefully that's cleared some things up. Hopefully anyway, and yeah, thank you for watching. See you in a bit. Peace out.